So I'd like to begin my presentation on this particular picture that you're looking at now. This is a picture of a bus, an electric bus, which has a picture, also an image of Coca-Cola, which is a day-to-day ubiquitous beverage brand that all of us, anybody from all over the world, would be aware of. I would either have tried it before or are consuming it day to day. Now, you may already know that the Coca-Cola brand is the most powerful brand in the world. Among others, obviously, there are also other brands like Apple product for iPhones, etc. But let's talk about Coca-Cola, because this particular brand has secured so many very, very interesting trademarks and intellectual properties. They have hundreds of intellectual properties registered all around the world, in the UK, in EU, in Asia, everywhere. Why do they go so far in securing so many kinds of intellectual properties just for a beverage product? I think it's because Coca-Cola has such a desire to differentiate their product from the other copycat brands. It's such an easy product to copy. It's just a drink. It's just a cola. Anybody can, replicate it. But today we're talking about geographical indications. It's not something that anybody can replicate, and it's not something that anybody can create or recreate. So it is unique on its own. Now, let's move forward. So we are going to start with looking at how did a powerful brand like that can we learn from? How did they do it, and what can we learn from them? Basically, we're going to look at what we are going to say on market analysis and segmentation. But before we go on how to understand the market and how to understand how our product fits into that particular market and the trend and so on and so forth, let's talk about what a brand is. You have heard about me earlier talking about brand, intellectual properties, or IP, trademarks. Basically, they're all the same thing. Brand is just the term that was introduced to us in the 80s. This is to summarize that a brand is actually more than just a logo, a symbol, or trademark. Brand is actually a bundle of intellectual property rights. As you can see here in front of our screen, it's about trademark, it's about taste, aroma, fragrance, unique accreditations, symbol, logo, all of this. It includes also packaging designs and advertising, and so on and so forth. So I'd like to go back to these sounds of the bus stops. Why is there an electric bus, and then why is there Coca-Cola? It is because Coca-Cola is trying to secure, let's not say trying, they're attempting to secure the sound when we open the cap of the bottle, and you will hear fizzing sound like psst, like that, which is exactly sounded the same like a bus, electric bus, when it stops, right? So because it's so difficult to secure the sound of fizzing when one opens the cap of the bottle, it's not easy, yeah? It's not a very easy task to secure it as part of the trademark. So therefore, they are using creativity to inform us, the public, the consumers, the market, that they want us to associate that sound with Coca-Cola. But in fact, it's just the same sound as when an electricity bus stops. There you go. It is very interesting. Now, let's move on. So when we look at the brand again and what it means, that it is more than just a logo, as it is actually a bundle of IP rights, all of these elements that you see here in front of your screen, actually, we can say that brand is indeed GI. GI is indeed brand because they share the same elements. And therefore, when they are combined, when you're combining a GI into a brand, then you can create a highly differentiated product. And then you make a powerful GI brand because you already, as a GI, you would already have a specification about your product and the uniqueness, the characteristic that is special to your geographical origin, to your culture, traditions, etc. So that is the one bit that we can call that GI is a brand, and therefore we call it GI brand. It's a combination of all of this that you can see in front of you. Yeah. Okay. So now, of course, when one mentions about geographical indications, Champagne comes to mind. This is the most, in my mind, I think this is the most powerful GI brand because it doesn't have to say that it is a GI. It doesn't have to carry the endorsement of the national GI symbol, which is the protected denomination of origin. I think it's PDO. It doesn't have to have that label on the bottling. You can see this example in front of us. You can only see the name of Champagne and then the trademarks of the company that where Champagne collaborates with. So it is so powerful that just given the name of Champagne, one would already know that this is a premium product. And it only works as a premium product in the mind of loyal consumers because loyal consumers are already aware of this brand, the GI brand, the GI name, and then the trademark. So they are already aware of this combination, empowered by the trademark. For example, you have Bollinger or Krug, or apparently, some people, the local consumers would know that these brands are even beyond premium, because that's what they represent themselves, and that's how they use creativity, advertising, marketing to brand and to give themselves an identity with. So now with Champagne, they've gone beyond than just looking at the product itself, because the brand is so powerful. It is able to extend the brand into services. So here you see tasting and appreciation. Now, Champagne is no longer selling the product, the champagne itself, but it is now selling the art of serving champagne. So apparently you have to use the right glass type, like a flute or tulip type, to be able to enjoy to the full the champagne. So if you are not familiar with champagne, it means that you don't either you don't appreciate the value of champagne, or you're just the average person that you don't really need to have a champagne. Then this sort of consumers can look beyond before some champagne, things like sparkling wines. You have sparkling wines also, but they cannot be named as champagne. And then they are rather a cheaper range sparkling wines. Okay. So now I gave you already some examples, one from the mass market like the Coca-Cola, and then the champagne from the premium range of GI sector. And now we look at how then you and try to understand your market for your product. You have the product now, you have the GI status, the certification, you have the code of practice. Now what do you do with it? Then you have to understand the market first. To understand the market, first you look at where the potential target markets are and where the consumers might be, right? So here is a research done in 2019. This is just to give you an idea that when this a few hundreds of British people were asked about GI, those one who appreciate GI would appreciate the authenticity, the premium quality, the traditional methods and culture, as well as seeing the product, the GI product, as a national pride. Those one who doesn't will say is a ripoff. It's a marketing hype. So you want to get out from those consumers who are not really looking into purchasing you regularly. So it means you need to focus on the market where your products are mostly appreciated. So the customer tend to think about quality over quantity, right? Now, this is an example of market analysis and segmentation for single origin coffee in 2021. This is just an illustration so that you can understand, you can look at, what's happening in the world, global trend. So apparently young people, the millennials, like to consume coffee, hang out in cafes, and then making out like things like Instagrammable photos of the cafes. They're consuming single origin coffee from this country named this, and it becomes a trend and it's growing. So therefore, as a single origin coffee producers from certain areas, then you need to tap into these markets, these areas, these cafes, so with the growing number of the cafes, therefore it means there's a growing demand of your product. So you have to work and collaborate together with cafes. You can also then look at branded goods like those who already have advanced, well-known trademark. For example, let me give you this JJ Royale. JJ Royale is a brand in Indonesia. I don't know whether you have it in your country, in ASEAN, elsewhere, but JJ Royale sells single origin coffee, and it's packaged and sold in high-end supermarkets. So in this case, the Gayo Arabica coffee, the committee might work together, collaborate with the trademark JJ Royale to co-brand their products and sell the authentic products to cater the buyers at the high-end supermarkets. But then you can also think about other potential markets for you, like, for example, Starbucks. Starbucks do not sell single origin typically. They sell blended coffee like cappuccino, whatever to call it. There's so many these days. They call it frappuccino, whatever. But they also need the coffee beans, and sometimes they blend your beans with other beans, other GI beans, coffee beans. But it is also a market for you. And it's now down to you to decide where you want to focus, which market you want to focus, and how you want to split the segmentation. Whether you want to only focus on collaborating with people like JJ Royale, or in the blended market. So you can split because you have a lot, it depends on your production, your annual production numbers. If you can segment and split your production supplies accordingly, then go for it, or you can then work with cafes, but single origin cafes, for example. Now, so we've talked about the market analysis and segmentation. Now I'd like to introduce to you what we call a marketing mix. This is basically a basic 4 P's. You've got 4 P's here. P's stand for product, price, place, promotion. This is very traditional, the 4 P's. And then later on, it expands to another 3 more P's, which is people, process, and physical evidence. So all of this, it is now called 7 P's, and trust me, it will grow in the future. But let's be focused on the 7 first. You've got your product now. You've got a GI, which attributes are available in your GI code of practice. When I say attributes, I meant things like the quality, the image and reputation, the characteristics. You can say how many numbers of production you have in a year, and then what you have to offer with your products. That's your product. That's GI itself as a product. And when it comes to price, place, and promotion, that is the competition outside your product, the environment outside of your product. And you have to learn, what does the competition do? How do they put their price against? Do you want to be the same price as them, or do you want to offer something cheaper? And that's to do with how you collaborate with other brands, brands, i.e. trademark. Do you work with those trademarks that are already well known in the market, or do you go alone? Do you work with your local traders? How do you do it? It depends. And then with place and promotion, typically, of course, it then links to physical evidence of the product. Do you sell the product online or offline? Well, now it's a digital age, so a lot of people are selling through online, commercial platforms. In Indonesia, Tokopedia is very famous. Maybe you have the same one in your markets too. But then people want to taste your product, so it's very important to bring your product to the market or through what we call international trade events, promotional events. So you can. Depends on which market you want to enter. If you want to go to Europe, then you you participate at the trade events out there, but be specific and focus to the product sector. If you are a food product, don't market yourself or promote yourself in the fashion trade fair. Doesn't make sense, so it has to be, if it's food product, then you go to the food promotional events, make sure that it is within your remit, your sector. So then you have people, processes, and then physical evidence. With all of this, the last three P's are related to something with quality assurance, maintaining authenticity of your products, because there's so many fake products in the market. So to do so, you have to really empower your farmers and producers to make sure that they continue producing the right products and at whatever is specified by the code of practice. And then, so all of this then allows you to strategize for your branding, control, procedure, and positioning. And all of this, of course, you need a strong organizational capacity. Your organization, the GI Lodge or whatever you call it, the association, has to really have the capacity to handle all of these processes. Because why? You need to act like a marketeer, like a person who markets product, marketeer, as you call it. How you license your GI name, logo, sometimes you have a product name and then you also have a product logo. Sometimes you only have the name of the GI, registered GI. So when you want to work together or collaborate together with traders, then you need to license your GI name to them so that you can monitor where your product has been marketed, which market it has gone to, and which consumers have purchased it. So you have the ability to manage and control your products supply in the future. And then it then also helps you by knowing what your product stands for, your pricing, your place to promote your product, and then the promotional events. You can then help position where your product is against the competition. Okay, so when it comes into brand management, because you need to have the capacity, right? Organizational capacity. This person or a function within your organization has to be able to identify the procedure within the branding process. What do I mean by the procedure in the branding process is looking at coming back to market analysis earlier and segmentation, learning about the trends, looking at the market, ensuring product quality and maintenance. So your organizational capacity has to have the marketing people working together with the producers and farmers and so on and so forth. So think about your organization just like any other big organizations, however they run it. So in practice, I tend to use the example of Parmigiano Reggiano because I've worked on this project since 13 years ago. And the organization where I used to work really helped the company to grow. With Parmigiano Reggiano, they are working very closely and collaboratively with many individual trademarks. For example, in this case, they work with Gabbani, which is a separate trademark, not owned by the Parmigiano Reggiano, but other individuals, other traders. And then they agree to have this layout in terms of how you want to brand your product, packaging, how you want to label yourself. So they put the official GI logo, and then they put the product logo also on the packaging. And it is very clear who is working with whom, and also the status of the official EU GI logo is clear there to say that this is a GI product from Italy, right? So we tend to use this example as basic for our clients when it comes into learning how to brand themselves. We call it a co-branding activities here, because there are many brands working together within one product. In terms of pricing, positioning, and physical evidence. So Parmigiano Reggiano is sold in Costco for about $900 just for a 72 pounds Parmigiano cheese. And so it has, the positioning itself is that it knows the market is in Germany, for example. So it enters the German market and the other European markets as well. And when you look at the US market's also huge, although they are not a fan of GI, but they still continue to position themselves like that. And when it comes into trade promotional event, they do this annual participation at, for example, in 2009 or something like that, they began to join the good food shows. It's in the UK because they want to enter the UK market at the time. So they continuously appearing in the same events every year, consistently. This is just one of the examples. And because the brand, the GI name is so strong, they began to develop their brand into other services. So here they enter different products also, like they create the knife to cut the cheese, the grater, and they label it with the Parmigiano Reggiano. And as I understand it, Parmigiano Reggiano may also be registered as well as a communal trademark, I think. So because when the brand is already strong, you can just extend it to different products and services, just like what Champagne did earlier. Now, when it comes to branding and promotion, they always appear using the same theme, color scene, you know, as you can see here, yellow for the cheese and then the black background for the writing and the boards. So it's the same throughout the year and every year. And then as the popularity of Parmigiano Reggiano grew, they then start working with food bloggers to create recipes, how to use Parmigiano Reggiano in your food, your favorite food like pastas, etc. Because it's easy to cook, and it then encourages anybody to use the cheese, the Parmigiano Reggiano cheese in their cooking. Other best practices include this one, where it shows place, price, promotion, and co-branding efforts into one packaging here. So Muntok white pepper is one of Indonesian GIs, and it works together with this brand called Steenberg's, which sells specialty spices in Europe. They have online presence. They have a website, so you can purchase it online if you're in Europe. And you can also see here that they set their price 60 gram for £3.25. This is UK British pounds. So it's very high level of pricing. But this is not to do with the farmer's price, right? This is to do with the retail price, because Steenberg's is a platform where it is open for buyers like special chefs, you know, restaurants, B2B. So it works in this case. All right. And the next one is Namhon coconut, fragrant coconut. I like this very much because I was able to buy it in Indonesia, in Jakarta, and it is a coconut from Thailand. It is a GI, and I was surprised to see the GI logo already stuck on the packaging. And more than that, the intellectual property side of the packaging is that the packaging design itself, and then the just one press cap where you press on this green button on the top, and then a straw will come up, and then you can drink the product right away. And then you have the Coco Tam trademark. So this product is already focusing, working on its creativity and its IP, just what we have seen earlier with Coca-Cola and champagne. So it's great. And another thing that is really, really interesting for me is that they work together with National Branding of Thailand, Amazing Thailand. You can see this sticker and the packaging, and it links you to the place where Nam Hom coconut is produced. So if everybody can do that, then of course we are linking geographical indication and tourism through just this one particular product. So that's where we understand that GI helps with empowering regional economy. Okay, next one is co-branding system. This is an example of a co-branding system in Indonesia. In Indonesia, the government has a logo, a national symbol for their GI, which serves to give the authenticity of the product, to guarantee the authenticity. So along with this logo, of course, is the product logos and the product name, the GI product names underneath it. So to be able to ensure that the products are authentic, the two logos has got to go side by side, which means if you want to see in the marketplace whether this product is original or not, authentic or not, then you can look at the two of the logos. If it's for example, Muntok white pepper, then you can see you should be able to find the official logo, the red and white logo with the Muntok white pepper side by side. But this is now an exercise, ongoing exercise in Indonesia, because the system is quite new in Indonesia. And so together with the GIP in Indonesia, we designed and developed a technical guidelines for the regulation of the Ministry of Law and Human Rights in Indonesia regarding how to use the logo and how to use the Indonesian GI label when you're using or marketing commercializing Indonesian GI. Now, of course, we are working together with many farmers here, many GI producers to help them use and apply the GI labels correctly. Aside from this, as you want to reflect on the marketing mix, all of this GI has a fantastic product profile already. What they are struggling in is in terms of pricing, placement, and then the promotion of the products. But we are currently working with around about 18 Indonesian GI producers, marketing and promoting their products at international trade fairs. This year, we have already done 6 of those. So that's how we bring the products to the market so far with the Indonesian government. So here we are. To summarize, you've got a marketing mix. You understand already the 4 Ps plus the 3 Ps, and it makes it 7 Ps. Then you position yourself in where you are in your environment, in the market. You learn about your product, and then you understand about your product, but then you want to understand what your consumers, what your customers, what the market wants from you. And then therefore, when you position yourself, you may do things like research and development where to understand where your product is being perceived by this target market of yours. And once you've got that build up image and reputation, you are then automatically creating a power for your brand. Sometimes you call it brand equity. I didn't explain about that because it's another topic to talk about, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead with the summary. Once you've got the brand equity and the brand power, then it would result in economic value. So you would be making profits already. You would know your margin, and then you measure it. You measure it again, measure back to your brand equity. How much of your brand contribute to your profit? And then it would then be translated into now you now know your perceived image and reputation. So this is where my product is positioned. This is where my brand is. This is where my GI is, and this is the market I should enter. And from the build up perceived image and reputation, you should go back to your strategy again to review it, to see where it is still relevant or not, to see whether you should reanalyze your markets. Maybe you got it wrong at the beginning, maybe you got it right, but then this goes in circle. It goes in circle. You have to review your marketing strategy. You cannot just do a marketing and branding strategy once. The formulation cannot be done just once and then you leave it. It is a dynamic process. So you have to keep on coming back to it and review and review and review. But throughout the process, you have to make sure that you understand the trend that is going around you, the global trends, the local trends. All I can say is sometimes we don't necessarily have to go global. Sometimes the local market is equally important, because experience from Indonesia is that sometimes even local communities do not know they have a GI. So you can build your GI brand locally as well as your international presence. So do both if you have the capacity. So I'd like to say thank you very much for your attention.